Deal, family. Welcome back to the Rhythm Section channel on YouTube. It's your boy Sean, and we here with another banger for y'all, man. So look, I know it's been a little second, man. I took a little break. Took a little break because it was Labor Day weekend, man. I've been busting my ass, man. The last month, I think in August, I dropped like almost 100 videos in August, bro. So like, I was just kind of tapped out. I'm tired. I'm looking for a new apartment to live in. It's a lot going on right now. You feel me? So it was a whole Labor Day weekend. I was like, bro, I'm about to be chilling. I'm chilling. I dropped the Way Too Sexy Drake video because I had to. But that's pretty much it. But we back on the grind now. We back to the work. We back to the business. We back to the videos on a daily basis. Consistency. And that's it, man. So we coming back. We're making the case. Bill Russell. Last one I did was Magic Johnson. I was like, bro, I got to do Bill Russell next, bro. I got to go back to a Celtic next and just run that up. Go back to Kareem, then hit LeBron or something like that. But for right now, we got Bill Russell. We about to check this out. See what he talking about, man. Easily one of the most, I ain't gonna say underappreciated or even underrated, but definitely understated. You know what I'm saying? He's one of those guys that everybody knows is good. Nobody underrates him. Nobody appreciates him and what he did for the league and what he's done for as what he did with the Celtics in his career. But people do understate him as far as being in the GOAT conversation. And the reason I say that, because you know how people bring up Bill Russell, when people start talking about basketball GOATs and shit, they always go, well, Bill Russell got 12. You all know that, right? They kind of like acknowledge the fact that this motherfucker got 12 motherfucking rings, but the fact that doesn't even matter. Like, how? But then we'll be like, in half a second, we'll be so quick to be like, Michael Jordan 6 for 6, Michael Jordan 6 for 6. What about Russell? Like, he got 12. One as a coach. As a player coach or something. Come on, bro. Stop playing with me. You know what I mean? Like, that don't even make sense. That's Bo Jackson type shit. Just unfathomable type shit but it really happened. The Bo Jackson stories ain't all really happened. Mythical creature type shit. This nigga really got 12. Anyways, man, I did my rant, so I'm gonna try to be cool, man. But we gonna run this up, making the case. Bill Russell, make sure you got your drinky drinks and your snacky snacks. Let me know how you feel about this in the comments and what's going on. And if you ain't done it on any other videos, go check them out. I did Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Tim Duncan so far. So go peep those, and then we got the next 4 coming up, starting with Bill Russell. Let's get it.
Imagine what I'm trying to do. I'm speaking to the most data-driven, analytically obsessed, statistically fixated generation of basketball fans that has ever lived. And I'm not just speaking to you, I'm making the argument that the greatest player of all time is one who, rather than scoring in high volume or with top-notch efficiency, excelled at defense, an aspect of the game that went virtually unrecorded for this player's entire career, an aspect which, even today, the most advanced metrics still provide an incomplete picture of. More than that, though, this player excelled in the wrinkles of basketball, manipulating the fabric of the game into his own design. This player is remembered for his unparalleled ability to lead, to inspire, to foster cohesion and self-sacrifice in favor of loftier goals, to dance along the line that blurs team and brotherhood. These empirically irrelevant skills resulted in the most successful professional sports dynasty in North American history. To begin making Russell's case, I want you to remember these legendary words from NFL head coach Herm Edwards.
Herm!
You play to win the game. It doesn't matter who you are, what your abilities are, what level you're playing at, what kind of sport you're playing, or who you're up against. You play to win the game. Remember that as we talk about Bill Russell. You play to win the game. Because when you look at sports and competition at its fundamental level, it is that simple. So, did he win? Hell yes, he won. In his 13 NBA seasons, Bill Russell captured 11 titles, more than any other.
I want to throw up. Like, bro, what? Don't even make sense. Like, it doesn't sound real. It really don't. Knowing that the shit happened, looking at it on the video, and then hearing somebody else say it, and then tell you each year it happened, it still don't make sense. I'm like, okay, whatever. This a movie or some shit. Like, 11 for 13. Finals, not free throws. Finals, not free throws. Finals. 57, 59, 60. Bro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 straight, bro. 8 straight. Jordan could have did that if he didn't take 2 years off, but 8 straight. Come on, man.
They're professional team athlete of note. 8 of them came consecutively. I'll come right out and say it. If you want the GOAT conversation to be about winning, oh yeah, this guy had a great career, but this other guy just wanted to win more. This guy wanted to win more than anything. That's why he's better. I want winners. If that's the way we're gonna do this, then you have to crown Bill Russell. But was Russell an awe-inspiring athletic specimen? Nope. For that kind of player, you look to guys like Wilt and Shaq and LeBron. Was he a transcendent scorer? Like I said earlier, no. Players like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar were in another stratosphere in that.
Bill Russell was like Tim Duncan, before Tim Duncan.
That department. Here's what Bill Russell was. He was a natural athlete at 6'10". He glided across the court with the balance and grace of a 6'3" guard. Vertically, he was springy and had the uncanny ability to seemingly jump twice in the same instant. He was strong, but surprisingly lean and gangly, 220 pounds of all arms and legs. He had a level of anticipation and awareness that was second to none. Put it all together and you get the second highest rebounding average of any player ever. You also get the most domineering defender in basketball history. Historically, Russell was a basketball pioneer in an almost literal sense. In high school and college, he was told constantly that to be a great defender, you had to keep your feet on the floor at all times, so as to afford yourself the most maneuverability possible. Russell refuted these ideas, and instead leapt emphatically to meet defenders around the rim and block their shots into the arms of his teammates. Guys from back then described Russell as an almost nightmarish entity, someone who would lurk in plain sight and strike without warning. He would wage psychological warfare on his enemies through intimidation and exude an aura that demanded an equal amount of fear and respect. He could guard behemoths at his position like Wilt and Nate Thurmond, but he could also switch onto guards with an insignificant drop in proficiency. Moreover, at the NBA level, with Red Auerbach's help, Russell became the linchpin in the Boston Celtics' patented fast break offense. Russell would contest a shot, secure the rebound, and push the ball forward to his streaking teammates so as to attack a defense on its heels. I know that doesn't sound like much today. The fast break is a part of every offensive system in the NBA and has been for decades. But Russell deserves credit as being the anchor of the NBA's most prolific defense and for being the cornerstone of an innovative offensive system. Wait, Bill Russell was an innovative offensive player? But I thought he had sub-average offensive numbers. His shooting percentages weren't very good. He didn't average that many points. What are you getting at, Clayton? The truth, my good man. But seriously, free your mind from the idea that a great offensive player can only be the guy who puts the ball through the net. Russell's court vision and passing ability were the keys to the engine of the Boston offense.
Hey, look, but let's keep it real, though. Shaquille O'Neal changed how people ran off defenses and changed how offenses could be ran. Shaquille O'Neal. So, say a big guy can't make, a dynamic change in the way offense is played in a sport. I mean, I feel you, though. I feel what he was saying, though, but yeah, that's possible.
You don't care, though. His stats weren't good, and that's that. So let's talk about statistics. The important statistics in basketball are supposed to be points scored, rebounds, and assists. But nobody keeps statistics on other important things. The good fake you make that helps your teammates score. The bad pass you force the other team to make. The good long pass you make that sets up another pass, that sets up another pass that leads to a score. The way you recognize when one of your teammates has a hot hand that night and you give up your own shot so that he can take it. All of those things. Those were some of the things we excelled in that you won't find in the statistics. There was only one statistic that was important to us. Won and lost. Whoops, sorry. I slipped into first person there because I was reading a Bill Russell quote. As if my job wasn't hard enough, Stats like steals and blocks, you know, defensive stats, didn't start getting recorded until the mid-70s. The only stat I can give you is defensive win shares. Games that a team won that can be attributed in part or in full to a player's defensive contributions. No one has yet to come within even 80% of matching Bill Russell's 13-year career total.
Boy, play defense, boy. Get big on them. They babies out here. Get big on them. Little boys. Little babies, man, rocking cradles out here. Look at that. What I say, Tim Duncan? What I say? Tim Duncan, he the only one in 100. He the only other person with 100. Only other person with 100. Come on, man. Bill Russell was Tim Duncan before Tim Duncan. You feel me? Because it was Bill Russell. I came up there, you know, some beasts up here. I don't know who the hell Elvin Hayes is. Kevin Garnett, man, come on. 133.
In that category. And now we're back to winning. The most important virtue of an athlete, right? It's how this debate always goes. 3 rings is more than 2. 5 rings is more than 3. 6 rings is more than 5. So why isn't 11 the largest number? I'll tell you why. There are 3 main reasons that people don't acknowledge the most decorated champion of all time as the greatest of all time. In the order I'll talk about them, they are that Wilt was better, that his era was weak, and that his team was stacked. First up, we have his friend, rival, and antithesis, Wilt Chamberlain. The careers of Wilt and Russell overlapped for about 10 years, and in those 10 years, the two became harbingers of the NBA as we know it. Their friendship, play styles, size, and championship disparity painted the two as inverses of each other. They are immortalized together as 2 sides of the same coin. Because they played in a bygone era, many basketball fans take to all-time leaderboards and the pages of record books to gain a better understanding of these 2 men. Statistically, the comparison is a no contest. Wilt was and is a basketball anomaly. Wilt scored the most points in a game ever, had the most points in a season, remains the league's all-time rebounder, logged the most rebounds in a game, and so on. And not only did Wilt set all of these records, but he put the bar so far out of reach.
Hey, Wilt dude got some stats, bro. I ain't gonna lie, Wilt got some stats. I remember I used to hear about that Wilt scoring 100 points in a game. I used to not believe that when I was a kid. I was like, Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in a game. And I remember it'd be like this. Everybody thought it was like a conspiracy theory when we were kids. Like, that wasn't real. No, that was real. That wasn't real. That was real. That wasn't real. He didn't really score 100. It was fake. There was not even, the game wasn't even on TV. It's not real. So much was about, like, we used to be like 10 years old having these conversations, bro. And because we live in Los Angeles, Lakers are winning championships. So it's a thing. It's a thing. But, there was another one about like 20,000, like he smashed 20,000 girls and shit. That's when we got to middle school. We was like in middle school. You feel me? Started getting older and shit. He's like, oh damn, he got 20,000 girls, bro. That shit a conspiracy too. Hey, Wilt was just doing numbers, bro. Wilt was doing numbers.
That we'll see colonies on Mars before we see all of his records surpassed. How do I even begin to suggest that Russell is the superior basketball player? Russell played in the same era, and so you'd think he would benefit from the same era advantages like Wilt did. But where Wilt averaged 30 points a game, Russell averaged just a paltry 15. Their field goal percentages are similarly lopsided. Only in rebounding do the two seem comparable, with staggering averages and untouchable career totals. There's really no argument, right? Well, the two played 143 total games against each other. That's almost 15% of all the games that Bill Russell ever played in. In the 94 regular season games they went head-to-head, Russell's team won 57 times. In the 49 playoff games that they saw each other, Russell's team won 29 times. But hey, those are team records. Even looking at the box scores of those games and playoff series show that Wilt got his no matter what. Surely there must be some way to award a player for his individual expertise. Something like the MVP award, the most valuable player, the player who adds the most to his team and gives them the best chance to win, regardless of the players that he plays with. That should be worth something, right? Especially considering that, until 1980, the MVP award was voted on by the league's players. If Russell's teams were so unfairly stacked, surely his peers would see this and understand that he was simply the beneficiary of a rigged system, right? And they'd give Wilt the award year in and year out because he was the best individual, right? Right. Look, Wilt won 4 MVP awards during his career. but it's not as many as Russell. Russell won the NBA's most prestigious award, signifying the most valuable individual talent in the NBA, 5 times. The rest of the NBA looked at the Boston Celtics, however talented they might have been, and recognized that it was Bill Russell who made them tick, and they had no problem voting him over Wilt. You want to know Russell's favorite award that he ever won in the NBA? His 1962 NBA MVP award. Why? Because that was the season Oscar Robertson averaged a triple-double. And it was the year that Wilt averaged 50 points a game. Russell averaged 18 points and 29 rebounds. Wilt's Warriors would take the Celtics to a Game 7 in that year's playoffs, only to lose in the game's dying seconds. Russell held the Wilt Chamberlain that had averaged 50 points that season to just 28 in the most important game of the season. And in the finals, the Celtics would find themselves in another Game 7 against the Lakers, this time in an overtime period that would decide the champion. Sam Jones and Bill Russell combined for 9 points in overtime, giving Boston their 4th championship in a row. Russell would end the game with 30 points and 44 rebounds. And now I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I wasn't alive to see Bill Russell or Wilt Chamberlain. There's a level of context I'll never have because I didn't live through that era. So why don't we hear from some of the people who did? Jerry West, Chamberlain's teammate from 1969 to 1973, said, "I don't want to rap Wilt because I believe only Russell was better, and I really respect what Wilt did. But I have to say, he wouldn't adjust to you. You had to adjust to him." 1975 Finals MVP and Hall of Famer Rick Barry said, "I'll say what most players feel, which is that Wilt is a loser. He is terrible in big games. When it comes down to the closing minutes of a tough game, an important game, he doesn't want the ball. He doesn't want any part of the pressure. It is at these times that greatness is determined, and Wilt doesn't have it." Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 1990 wrote this, an open letter to Wilt Chumperlane. "It's been several years now, Wilt, that you have been criticizing my career with your friends in the press. After any tough test in which you didn't do well, you blamed those around you and quit. People will remember that I worked with my teammates and helped us win. You will be remembered as a whining crybaby and a quitter, stats and all." Stories abound about Wilt's infatuation with statistics.
They making Wilt look real bad. They shitting on Wilt more than they praising Bill. They shitting on Wilt more than they're praising Bill. You know, they're not even like giving, like, I think one person said something about Bill, while everybody else is just shitting on Wilt.
From correcting scorekeepers to scolding teammates for not making baskets that would have counted towards his assist totals. In 1965, the Warriors felt that Wilt was toxic and decided to trade him. One of the prospective landing spots for the Big Dipper was none other than the Los Angeles Lakers, where Jerry West and Elgin Baylor desperately needed someone to throw at Russell. The Lakers management decided to poll the players on whether the team should trade for Chamberlain. The poll resulted in a 9-2 decision against bringing Wilt to the team. Is it fair to call Wilt a loser? No. But did he make his teammates better? Rarely. Wilt played in 9 Game 7s. Russell played in 10. Wilt lost 5 of his. Russell never did. Okay, but back then there were like 8 teams, nobody was very tall, there was just a bunch of scrawny non-athletes. Russell couldn't hold Joel Embiid's jockstrap today. If you abide by the "yeah, he was good for his time, but he couldn't hang today" mindset, I need you to be consistent. I need you to acknowledge that across the board. You've painted yourself into a corner that states that the greatest athlete will always be the newest one. That Aroldis Chapman is historically a greater baseball player than Babe Ruth, because Chapman would smoke Babe Ruth like a dad playing wiffle ball with his son.
This is a very, very true argument. I hate when people say shit like that. Because think about like the athletes now. The pool of athletes like Kevin Durant, Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James. Like these pool of athletes are so much in a mass level, better. The whole NBA is better now than it was in '78. You know what I'm saying? Even if you cut it down, so it was the same amount of teams, even worse. So, you know, that's a terrible argument. I hate that argument. Because, like, Babe Ruth, man. You know what I'm saying? Jackie Robinson. Bro, these dudes, these Barry Bonds, Mark McGuires, and whoever these new players are, I ain't watched baseball in a long time. Whoever these new players are, they wipe the floor with these dudes. You know what I'm saying? These dudes ain't, Babe Ruth ain't have no fucking Equinox gym to go work out at. There wasn't no performance training, performance rehab. There wasn't none of that shit. Nigga was in the field lifting logs and shit, he probably ain't even do no push-ups. You feel me? These dudes will wipe the floor. So that's a terrible argument. It's always about the era. Then you take the eras and be like, yo, that person's run in the 90s shitting on this person's run in 2000. That's the greatest, bro. 6 for 6, bro. You talking about? Care about no points. That's all I'm.
That if someday the NBA implements a 4-point shot, you immediately
boom. There wasn't even a 3-pointer in the Russell videos. I didn't even want to say that, but you know, there was no 3, so you can't even have. There could be a dude hitting shots from all the way back here, just wet, cush, way better than Steph Curry ever was. Guess what? It was only 2 points. It was only 2 points. If they had a 3, he'd be the greatest 3-point shooter ever. But guess what? There was no 3, so now it's Steph Curry. Because nobody cared about the other dude because it was only 2-point shots. So you can't even be like he was hitting 3s because it was 2.
have to look at Steph Curry and say, yeah, he was a good shooter for his time, but he couldn't cut it today. His era was easier. If he played today, he'd just be an average shooter. In that world, no one will ever hold the crown for long, because time will pass, and modern athletes inevitably age into ancient ones. So isn't the fairest way to evaluate these players to look at what they did in the context of their eras? I think so, because I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Everybody had era-specific advantages. Great players are great because they exploit them. Alright, let's try to get some context. I think that Russell's 11 championships actually hurt him historically in this way. It's such an incomprehensible number that it just lends itself to people trying to poke holes in it or find ways to discredit him.
Exactly.
11 is just too big of a number, right? Jordan has 6, and we know the stories of all 6. We can remember who LeBron and Kobe beat to win their championships and what it meant to them. It's hard to do that with 11, and it's even harder to do that when they happened in the ballpark of 60 years ago. I briefly touched on 62, so here's a little more context for you. After 8 straight titles for Boston, Wilt and the 1967 76ers put the league on notice. They won a league record 68 games and disrupted the Celtics' streak in just 5 games. They put the ribbon on their season weeks later when they won the championship. And then, the very next year, the 76ers entered the playoffs with the best record in the league. Wilt led the league in assists and won the MVP. When they met the Celtics in the Eastern Finals, they racked up a 3-1 lead. And then, as player-coach of the Celtics, Bill Russell engineered the greatest comeback basketball had ever seen, becoming the first team to ever overcome a 3-1 deficit. Wilt did not attempt a field goal in the second half of Game 7. Russell did damn near everything to ice the game in its final minute. 1966 was Red Auerbach's last year. He began this
smoking big ciggies. Big sickies
season by telling his contemporaries that this was their last shot to beat it. After defeating the Oscar Robertson Royals and Wilt 76ers, the Lakers and the Celtics went the distance in the finals. In Game 7, an inspired Russell helped fend off an intense Lakers rally in the final period, tallying 25 points and 32 rebounds to send his coach out as a winner. Go look up his teams. You'll see that 1965 was Russell's best team. You might think it was easier back then, though, because Russell was playing against a bunch of nobodies.
Bro, I wonder if he'll bring up the fact that he played in Boston in 1965. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed in 1964 and wasn't even in law or even in place, like moving like that until 1968. He was playing when literally, maybe not in Boston, probably not in Boston, but depending where you go, you can't even use the same water fountain as somebody else if they white and you black. Think about that. He played in that time too. Jackie Robinson was like the 40s and shit. Anyways, you get what I'm saying though. Anybody else ever played around a time like that?
And you've got me there. He only had to go through Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, Hal Greer, Dolph Schayes, Oscar Robertson, Willis Reed, Nate Thurmond, Walt Frazier, and Bob Pettit. You know, a bunch of nobodies. The fact is that the weak era argument is, more often than not, an excuse made by people who want to discredit a player from before their time who can't be bothered to look them up and try to learn about them.
Come on, the big O, Oscar Robertson, what are we talking about? Anyways, man, I gotta reset my camera real quick because it's about to shut off or whatever after 30 minutes. So I'm about to reset this real quick and then we gonna end this video. Make that happen real fast for y'all, man. All right, man, we back. Let's got 10 more minutes left to finish this out, man.
Listen, I know it's crazy to think about how long basketball's been around. I know it's crazy trying to convince you that the first truly great player from the game's first truly great era was the greatest of them all. The odds that the first model was the best model are astronomical. It doesn't make it impossible, though. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that 8 teams actually made the league tougher, or that players from back then were just as good as they are today. And I don't have to. We're looking at this in context. The league was chock full of Hall of Famers and all-time greats, and the Celtics played in enough Game 7s that any rational observer would look at it and see that it wasn't easy for Russell. But wait, there's more. Because it wasn't just that Russell played in a weak era. He played with the better team every single year. If you didn't know, I've actually already made the case that Wilt was the greatest basketball player of all time. And I said this: Bill Russell consistently had better teammates than Wilt Chamberlain did. That's as good as a fact to me, and I will maintain it even when I make the case for Bill Russell. So here I am saying it. Bill Russell often had the best team in the NBA. And that makes sense, right? You don't win one championship without a great team, let alone 11. And Russell had a great team, a legendary coach, and talented teammates. Bob Cousy was the league's second MVP ever, and John Havlicek helped lead the Celtics to 2 more titles in the 70s. Plus, guys like Casey Jones, Bill Sharman, Frank Ramsey, Tommy Heinsohn, and Sam Jones are all in the Hall of Fame. But is it that simple? Like I said earlier, the players voted on MVPs during those days, and Russell won 5 of them. So, however stacked his team might have felt to the rest of the league, they still acknowledged that Russell made it all work. And look at those Hall of Famers that Russell played with and how many championships they won. There's no way the Hall of Fame could leave these guys out, right? So was it that Russell was actually playing alongside a 12-man roster of Monstars? Or were those guys Hall of Famers because they played alongside Bill Russell?
Hey,
I would argue that he had the better team all those years because those teams all had Bill Russell. He never cared about anything other than winning. He put himself and his teammates in position to win, time and time and time again. I know I keep repeating the number, but 11 championships. That's not a fluke. That's a team galvanized by a once-in-a-generation talent and a once-in-a-lifetime leader. There's no evidence that indicates that the Celtics would have enjoyed anything close to the...
I said this about the Tim Duncan video too, was like Tim Duncan, Bill Russell, Tom Brady, you know what I'm saying? The Patriots, the Celtics, the Spurs. Like, are these people you know? You know, because they're just that good, or because they're playing with this person? That helps them become more of that known player of who they are, or makes their skills shine that much more.
Amount of success as they did without Russell. The year before they got Russ, they were 39-33. The year after he retired, they were 34-48. Russell would throw up before big games throughout his career. It was a ritual that his teammates initially found unsettling, but eventually came to find a serene confidence in. Bill was setting an example. Their best player, despite all of the honors that he had won, and all of the champagne he had drank, still cared that much about winning. That's maybe the most impressive thing to me. He never rested on his laurels, never used past accomplishments as justifications for anything. He withstood the test of time and the temptations of self-interest. He never stopped caring, and so his teammates didn't either. So when Sam Jones hits a game winner, or Tom Heinsohn explodes in a playoff game, don't take credit away from them, but know that they are the ones who will tell you that it was Russell who made it all possible. Please don't make me keep going. Fine. Bill Russell was cut from his high school JV team in his sophomore season. He was raw, lacked fundamentals, and was driven by unrefined passion alone. Then, as a junior and senior, he led the team to back-to-back state titles. Colleges didn't care though, and he didn't receive a single offer from any college. That is, until a scout from the University of San Francisco saw him and offered him a scholarship. In his 3 varsity years at USF, Russell helped turn a relatively unremarkable team into a perennial powerhouse. He went 71-8 and won 2 national championships. His junior year, the Dons started the season unranked. By the end of the season, they were the #1 team in the country and the national champions. In his senior year, the team went undefeated and carried the #1 ranking wire to wire. At one point, USF had a win streak of 55 games. Of the players on that team, only Casey Jones would go on to the NBA and, ironically, to play with Russell. Bill Russell is basketball Midas. Every team he touches turns to gold. And oh, by the way, Bill Russell's career coincided with the civil rights movement of the 1960s in a truly surreal way.
Thank you.
He endured a disheartening amount of injustice during his career with a grace and pride that is worthy of remembrance in and of itself. But he did more than that, using his position to challenge the establishments around him and affect change. He was a leading voice at the Muhammad Ali Summit in Cleveland. He was at the March on Washington. He was a leading voice at...
With Kareem in the cut right here. That almost looks like... Oh, no. I was about to say that looks like Muhammad Ali or his dad or some shit, but they don't look like him. Because he's right there. Bill Russell. And I want to say, I don't know who exactly this is, but that might be Joe Brown. That might be Joe Brown. I'm not sure, though.
At the Muhammad Ali Summit in Cleveland. He was at the March on Washington and in attendance for Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. He didn't attend his own Hall of Fame induction because he thought that someone like Chuck Cooper deserved to be the first African-American inductee rather than himself. He was denied rooms in hotels and service in restaurants on basketball road trips. And so, he refused to play. When Red Auerbach retired after the '66 season, Russell became the first black head coach in any of the 4 major American sports. While he was playing for the Celtics, vandals broke into his suburban home, spray-painted racist graffiti on the walls, broke his trophies, and defecated on his bed. His contributions to the civil rights movement are as important and notable as any other athlete. He helped light the torch that athletes today continue to carry. Does this necessarily make him the greatest player of all time? No. But when you think about what he was able to accomplish, I don't know how you could be anything but awestruck.
Wow. For real.
What is greatness? It's a question worth discussing, even if there are multiple answers with equal validity. One answer might be this, that greatness is the absence of potential. Bill Russell couldn't control how tall he was, or how much muscle mass his body could support, how fast he could run, how quickly he could jump. There are a host of things that might hinder or accentuate an individual's potential.
Greatness is the absence of potential. I love that. I love that. I hope that don't go over your head either.
Potential. Greatness is when, at the end of the road, you can look at that individual and say with certainty, there is no more potential. Every ounce got drained. Every possibility exhausted. The tank got emptied, and the fight got fought. There was simply nothing left. That's a form of greatness worth celebrating. Bill Russell didn't dominate basketball. He conquered it. He ruled a sport for 13 years. Any uprisings or revolutions were succinctly quelled. There is perhaps no term more aptly suited for the totality of what he created than the word dynasty. He was the greatest defender basketball has ever seen. He steered basketball into the modern era. He created a culture from scratch. His loyalties did not belong to fans or the media or to Boston. His loyalty belonged to the Celtics. There is such a thing as a Platonic idea, named after the philosopher Plato. Take, for instance, a chair. You know what a chair is. You have in your mind the idea of a chair. They might look...
All right, look, coming from a Laker fan, Magic Johnson, he got 5, right? Magic Johnson got 5, right? Kobe and Shaq got 3. That's 8. And then Kobe got 2. So between Kobe's 2 double run, him and Shaq's 3-peat, and then Magic Johnson's 5, we got 10. And Russell got 11.
Different, be made out of different material, and serve different purposes. But a chair is recognizable because you have...
I didn't even want to say that shit, but that shit just popped into my head right now, and I counted it up, and I was just like, I gotta say this.
Of the Platonic idea of a chair. You might have heard this term used to describe friendships. A platonic friendship is one centered around the very essence of friendship itself, not romance or sexual gratification or convenient utility, but simply because you enjoy being in that person's company. Bill Russell, more than anyone, unlocked the platonic idea of basketball. And I think in a big way, that's why we love sports. Sports is one of the most organic and compelling storytelling devices that we have ever found. Sports tell a story, and in that story, we hope to find pieces of ourselves. In the Platonic idea of basketball, we find things like compassion, selflessness, solidarity, resiliency, and triumph. There's one last thing that sums it all up: the 1969 finals. It's Russell's last year, and the Celtics are running on fumes. They finished the season 48-34, their worst record since they drafted him. Still, they roll through the East and find themselves matched up against the Lakers. With Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, and Wilt Chamberlain, the Celtics are massive underdogs. Finally, Russell's most bitter rivals will reach the top of the mountain and send him out a loser. But Boston won't go down without a fight. The series goes to 7 games. Every game but one is decided in the single digits. Russell's scoring days are over. These days, he leads his team by cleaning the boards and setting up his teammates. In Game 7, his swan song, in Los Angeles, Bill Russell and the Celtics did what they always did. They found a way, and they won. Here, after cementing himself as the greatest basketball player of all time, is the platonic idea of basketball.
Yes, I'm here with Bill Russell. Bill, this must have been a great win for you. Exactly.
Damn. Damn, I love that ending, bro. Damn. Damn, man. Bill fucking Russell. That was Bill Russell making the case, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That is a GOAT. There are certain players that are undisputed GOATs. Obviously, any of these 8 players that are in this, you could say is, but there's really like only a few undisputed GOATs. And when I say a few, I really mean like, it's like Bill for 12. Like, you know what I'm saying? For 11, I mean 11. Bill for 11. Michael 6 for 6, man. Outside of those 2, I mean, I don't know. It's tough out here. It's tough, bro. It's tough. But those 2 players, Bill and Michael, are essentially, there's no argument you can make against. You could try to. You could do the whole, like, he just brought up the arguments about or Bill Russell and how he played in, like, not of a crazy competition and stuff. But you really can't say nothing. And all these other players, the other 6 players, you could throw something out there. Even Larry, even Kareem, even LeBron James, even Magic Johnson, Kareem, you could throw Tim Duncan, you could throw something out there. With Bill and Michael, you can't, bro. You just can't. You really can't. You could try, but you can't, man. But that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. You already know what to do. Like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. I got the next 3 coming. Probably gonna do Kareem next, then LeBron, and there's another player I'm missing. Wilt. So I got Kareem. I'll probably do the Kareem, LeBron, Wilt. Something like that. But anyways, that's it. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Keep it real. Real is rare. Real always reaches everyone. I'm going to see y'all next time. Peace.